Hey guys, it's Angel and welcome back to the channel. We're here at Headcorn, taking a look at Aeroplane Heaven's RHawker Hurricane MkI. I don't know about you, but I've been incredibly excited for this aircraft, because I love the Hurricane. It's my favourite Battle of Britain aircraft. Yes, more than the Spitfire, which was amazing in its own right, but the Hurricane is its own monster. It is a beautiful aircraft. Now, we'll be looking at a couple of different versions during this, because it's MkI, but there are different versions within the release. Now, a little bit of history of the Hurricane itself. Of course, it was a British single-seat fighter from the 30s and 40s, designed by Hawker for service in the RAF. And it was overshadowed in consciousness, of course, by the Spitfire. But during the Battle of Britain, it was the Hurricane that served the biggest role. In fact, it inflicted 6% of the losses of the Luftwaffe during that. In fact, it was mostly going after the bombers. They were the ones defending our skies against the Luftwaffe bomber threat. The Spitfires were after the fighters and the glory. Now, it was originally designed by Sir Sidney Cam, and it was a deviation from the Hawker Fury biplane. You'll notice a similarity in appearance. Now, tractable tricycle landing gear. Of course, we have the Merlin up front, but we do have a very early style design of a semi-monocoque forward cockpit with metal and a metal frame, and then a fabric rear frame. Yeah, there's fabric over the wings and the rear frame of the aircraft. So, well, not the wings, but the rear frame at least. Now, these were first flown in 1935, introduced in 1937, and produced through to 1944. So we didn't see the end of the war, at least in production. 14,000 were built. They served the Soviet forces, the Royal Navy, the Canadians, the Royal Air Force, South African Air Force, Australian Air Force. They served everything, did Fighter Command and the Allied Air Forces. Except America, of course. And also Yugoslavia and Belgium. Now, we'll look at some specifications on a MkI. Or it's technically Mark II, but still. Now, we've got the 3-blade prop, of course. Rolls-Royce Merlin. A V12 liquid-cooled piston. Putting out 1100 horsepower. Max speed we're looking at is going to be, and I'm giving you this in miles an hour because we're British. And so we do things. 340, which is 300 of your knots. Range of 600 miles, or 520 nautical miles, and a service ceiling of 36,000 feet. Guns were 4 20mm Hispano Mark IIs, and she could carry 2 250-pound bombs. So the aircraft was very capable, of course, and the early models had 303 machine guns in there too. Of course, this MkI did have the 303s, I should say. Now, there's only one left flying, and that is the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flights Romeo 4118, Uniform Papa Whiskey. That is replicated in this release. And we'll look at some of the other versions because we have a wartime variant. We have a modern, which is a restored variant. And we have also a special one, because the restored one, which is Romeo 4418, has the hard hat bone dome, hard helmet that is styled after the World War II one. And a modern oxygen mask. And then we have the early 1938 pattern goggles, leather helmet and masks from that era with the side-mounted oxygen in most of the aircraft. And I'm very happy, Aeroplane Heaven. I wish you'd made these as actual avatars we actually could use on other aircraft, by the way, because please, or if we could use these pilots in literally, but please, Aeroplane Heaven, make these individual pilots we can literally fly in any version, because I'd love that. I'd love to fly your modernized Spitfire pilot, Hurricane pilot in other aircraft. I'd love to fly the one we're flying today, which is the WAF one. Yes, in honor of the women that served in Royal Air Forces, Women's Auxiliary Air Force, and other auxiliary female Air Force branches, like in America, of course, etc. This one comes with a female pilot from the Air Transport Auxiliaries flying this Hurricane. I'm super excited because obviously they often fly them from air factories and OTUs to the various airfields and deployed locations for these to be serving bombers, fighters, everything. So anyway, enough waffling here. Interesting thing here. Look at this. This is our liveries. They don't work. Like, not all of them are showing up in the page. This is odd for me. I've never had this happen before, so it's unusual. Now, whilst we're looking at our innovative features here, we have, of course, factory design plans-based models. We have interesting animations, of course. We talked about the pilots. The refueling Bowser and start cart will show you. Flight dynamics are apparently accurate. We'll have a look at that. WY sound pack with Rolls-Royce Merlin sounds. I don't like the sounds, even though they're apparently WY sound pack of a Merlin. It sounds off. We have a modelled actual physical engine. Standard, tropical, and Sea Hurricane models included. And so for €32, by the way, for price, this isn't terribly awful. I mean, we've got 14 liveries, all those features, and it isn't bad. Let's go take a look, shall we? Let's get inside here, and we'll actually pop some of these things open first. So canopy lock open. Slide our canopy back here. Now, I need to click a couple of bits and pieces here, which is the engine cover there, the fuel Bowser, and the start cart, which will go external. So the ATA livery, let me slow this drone down, there we go. The ATA livery looks low resolution. I don't like it. This one, I've seen the other ones on their website, the screenshots, they look rather pretty. This one looks kind of meh, if I'm honest. We'll look at one of the other ones, it's not this one, later to see if there's a difference. Also, it's very shiny for the grip tape there, not a fan of that. Yeah, model-wise, good. Texture-wise, not great. On this livery, at least. So if they've just skimped on it because it's the female one, I'm going to be pissed. Really, really pissed. See? Female pilot. Yes! Female World War II pilot. Super cool. Also, depending on whether you click or not on the oxygen, the mask is on. Isn't that cool? I love that. I love that feature. So, model-wise, good. Texture-wise, I'm going to hold my... here we have the 8 303s on this version. We'll look at the other ones before we actually do much more, but towards the end of the video. So you'll stand by and we'll see those. But for the time being, let's get that engine cover back on there. Now, hidden refuel, as, of course, I get a phone call. Of course, that's when Yodel, they never turn up when you want them to. They just turn up when you don't need them to. As, yes, we look around in the cockpit here now. This is where our ground starter is. The start cart, Spitfires, Hurricanes often started from that feature. So we have that in that mode. We also have the starter mag technically off for the time being. But we're going to run through now. The gun cover, we can take that off. We can have the cover open there if we wanted to. Which is nice to see. Is it not? So we have our various 40s radios and bits and pieces. We have our light switches. We have even got our covers for our sunshade and our reticle. Lovely. There's our gear indicator, by the way. Mildly hidden by the... Of course, this doesn't work in this version. This only works in the modern one. Again, a weird choice to limit this. I'm not sure why they did that, but you've got the switch to toggle the modern GPS in the restored version, but it only works in the restored version. Like, the feature is there in all of them, but not working. This feels odd. Panel lighting there. Not a lot of panel lighting. But it's back to daytime, so I can see what I'm doing. Do we have more panel lighting? We do. Ah, from different sides. Excellent, there we go. Let's see what this looks like in the dark, shall we? Yeah, not bad at all. Plenty of visibility there. Night lighting's decent. Okay. I'll knock this off. And we'll run through our start checks and we'll get this old girl up and running and you can hear the sounds. We'll use the in-game checklist as they're useful to have. So flight controls are free and correct. That is, we know that already. Parking brake is set. It's there. So that's off. That's on. You'll notice on our hydraulics there, it will only activate when I actually hit the toe brakes, even though technically the parking brake should actually activate the hydraulics. So that's not quite correct. So we are set to ground, which is where we need to be. Fuel selector is going to be set to go. Engine magnetors are set to off. They are indeed off. Gear and flap lever is to neutral. That's in the middle there. And of course, that's in the gate. And then we go up and we go down. Now, bear in mind, lowering and raising the flaps on this thing is a very... That's in the gate there. very slow moving the flaps, so be aware and do them before time. Starting the engine, so power control will be RPM to full forward, throttle to crack. Mixture is good. We're going to make sure our mags are now both on. Over there, our starter mag is on. Our booster coil is going to be going on. And our starter will be 1, 2, 3. I shouldn't be doing that in German, flying a Hurricane, should I? Oh, that feels like a sacrilege for a second there. Exterior sounds aren't awful. Interior's not terrible. Something feels off. I don't know. Starter magneto off, and we'll set ourselves to flight mode there, which gets rid of the start card. I don't like how this is stretching along the edge of this, and also these huge. Obviously, these are in the aircraft, but I hate seeing that on the side of the cockpit glare shield or the frame. It looks horrible. I don't like it. If it's accurate, fair enough, but I think it's ugly as all hell, personally. Okay. So, let's get ourselves out of here and do a couple of quick circuits, and we'll fly around, and we'll get back in and we'll look at the other version, shall we? Morse code. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Turning left is basically your go-to in this aircraft. Because turning right is not that easy. You can turn with the rudder, somewhat, but the aircraft really only wants to turn left. Now, you are using rudder and brake to do this. Because the differential braking only works on the left brake, so you've got air over the rudder, it's an option, and you've also got left differential braking. And oh my god, it's a swine to get it to steer anywhere. There we go. She's an absolute piglet to steer. Because technically it can do a bit of right turning, but watch the brake pedal, the rudder pedals here. This is me holding full deflection and releasing deflection, and it's going like left, right, left, right, left, right a bit. My pedals are normal. I've tested them on other aircraft. They're behaving as they should be. But look at what it's doing here, where it's seesawing back and forth. And I'm just applying right pedal. Just right pedal, okay? And you'll see when we're in the air how this is different, okay? Because it'll be smooth in the air. Well, nearly ground looping a Hurricane, not what we want to do. Let's turn my head on here, shall we? Let's get ourselves ready for departure. Now, she's got some pretty vicious tendencies on takeoff. You need to be ready on the controls here. Now, it does say to use full on rudder, right rudder, on the rudder trim. I'm not doing that because setting it back to neutral again is a pain in the arse. But watch how quickly we take off. This thing is ridiculous. So, tail up, right rudder, and she's already up and in the air. It's about stall speed. So she's climbed herself up really quickly. That feels very quick. Oh, that was gear up. I need to put that back down again so you can see it. Again, very quick on the gear from Mark 1 Hurricane. Let's close this over. And we'll latch it down here. The engine sounds very... it's hard to tell. External sounds are pretty okay. Internal sounds I'm not a fan of. Something sounds off. You know what I mean? Something sounds off with it. It doesn't sound throaty enough. There are some hints of throatiness. Like when I pull back to idle, listen. You'll hear some of that kind of rattly, pottery, burbliness. I got it to backfire earlier on me, and it sounded quite nice then. It's not doing it now. Well, we'll go rolling in. We're not going to land this time by. We'll do a quick run down. The centre line here. Now, whilst I had the toggle rudder worked for the guns on the other fighters from Aeroplane Heaven, It doesn't do it on this one. So toggle water rudder is not a gun firing, nor did I see reference to one that worked in the manual. Something does sound off about this engine. Comparing it to the Flying Iron Spitz Merlin, this sounds off. I know it's a Mark 9 with a different model Merlin. It sounds too thin. Aeroplane Heaven sounds have always been a little bit on the wobbly side, if you ask me. And that should definitely have stalled out the engine, because I believe they had a gravity carb. I know later model Spitz did not. So they actually had pressurized carburetors, so you could fly inverted. We'll swing out a bit left here, then we'll set ourselves around for a arrival. Now we're going to drop the flaps down here. Three notches. Is it working? It's not working. Interesting. Oh, that's the wheels. Did I just put the wheels down? I did not. There we go. Oh, that's the ground. Hello, ground. We'll do this manually. Power on. And we'll swing around. We're too low here. And we are going to pop the gear down now. Obviously, doing it through that system works authentically, but for ease of the video's sake, I'll do it through my flight controls. So I want us to get on the ground and look at the other variants real quick. So at that... Okay, we'll go to 50 on the flaps. So we're looking for about 70 over the fence here for touchdown. We're just above that slightly. Lands best just over stall speed, but I did find it was a little bit drop onto the ground if you got too slow. So I'm going to idle the power out here and let the big flaps do their work. Drop it to about 80. We'll hold at 80. I think a little bit more speed will benefit us right now. Okay, we're just below 80 there. There's the runway. Exactly where we want to see it. A little more power. There we go. Not as bad in terms of long nose as a Spitfire. Hedge there, let's raise the nose up. We'll just hold that nose once we get the power off. And we'll plop her down for a three-pointer. Nice and gentle. Back in the hangar for TM medals. And have to whack the Bosch again. Once she brakes. Doesn't want to tip over the nose like the Thunderbolt did. There's that left turn again. So not too bad. Flight model feels good. It feels reasonable. I don't know how Hurricane flies. There's only one that flies in the world. It isn't terrible. Now, let's go take a look at the other versions, including the normal, non-WAF, and we'll look at the Modernizer. So we'll... Well then, as you see here, we are in Aeroplane Heaven's rather working, restored Uniform Papa Whiskey. I'm just seeing this for the first time, boys and girls. I installed this today, fresh, clean. It is not on my end, as far as I can tell. I did install this today. It has no textures. It is a pink square flying aircraft. And of course, I can't actually select the GPS switches in here because... Oh, I can. So there you go. We press the button and the GPS thing there. And that does actually work. So you can see it does function. In some way, shape or form. That is novel. I'll give them that. Maybe I can actually operate various things. Oh, look, I can see out now. We've got a world we're actually in. I don't think this one was... There's something missing in the fallback texture. Because this is missing nearly all of its fallbacks. Because I believe the sim still works in that regard in terms of it handles fallback. In terms of if it can't find something. So something is rotten in the state of Denmark. So here we have one that's functioning, and it turns out if I can see it in the menu, you saw that list I showed you of deliveries. If it has a picture, it works. If it doesn't have a picture, the fallbacks are missing. So interior is basically the same. Everything looks identical inside this one, of course. Obviously, where's that switch now? I can see it under here somewhere. Oh, that's our gear indicator lights. Now, in this one, you can't even click the modern GPS thing. So, that's odd. You can't even click the switch. You could in the WAF one, but you can't in the original one. And I'm officially pissed. Now, the texture resolution seems just as low on the modern, or should we say the actual wartime one. Oh, hello. This is getting really weird for a sudden. Now, this is apparently the difference in uses. It's got weathering, aka they spludged it a bit around. Oh. Interesting. Okay, so this is their idea of weathering between the WAF one and this one. Is a couple of bits and pieces of weathering, which, to be fair, on the nose, that all looks good. That does not. Also, need I be the one to point out that worn off metal, revealing metal underneath, paint metal, right? Metal, fabric. Why can you see silver under the fabric color? Huh? Why is there metal color showing through under the fabric? And also, you've got a tear in your RF Randall. I hate to say it, as much as I love the Hurricane, I think this one's a bit of a squib, boys and girls. I hate this because I love the Hurricane and I really want to fly a Hurricane, and they need to patch the crap out of this. They need to patch the crap out of this a lot, because this isn't ready. Thank you for watching. Bye.